Well then, we're heading into map number 2, and CE chooses to take us to a pretty good Alarak map, quite frankly. It is the Battlefield of Eternity.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for CE. If you're a supporter of that team, and if you have their cheer bits and emoticons unlocked in the HGC channel, then let us know by dropping a little bit of hype. Or if you're an A-team supporter, if that Alarak Zul'jin play has convinced you and made you a believer, feel free to support your team as well. Super cool to see the A-team and all the hype they have accumulated today.
Let's find out as we see an Anubarak first ban. Intriguing for the A-team, forcing CE into that classic Genji ban. So now the A-team probably Diablo or Deckard or something along those lines to try and force out the Maiev ban of CE. Maybe a Yorel or something like that. Or even a Hanzo, remove that immortal race potential.
Yep. Hanzo, Raynor, those two heroes are very much sought after in terms of PvE damage, in terms of racing immortals. So taking some of those away or not banning any of those is pretty smart because, for example, if CE were to ban one of the two now, then the A-team could just be like, well, we're going to pick the other one. But if they leave both open, then they're probably going to be spread evenly.
There's a Hanzo sneaking his way in. So yeah, one of the big races. So I expect we will probably see Raynor, seeing as CE have also been leaning on it very heavily.
I mean, I can't see a world in which you're going to let both ranged assassins go over to one team on BOE unless you have a really, really special plan in mind in which you're probably going to enforce team fights before the racing potential can even come to fruition. But yeah, it's such a risk. I'm not sure if you want to take it. And there we go. The Raynor being stolen away. It also fits CE's playstyle under normal circumstances. Yeah, Karazim is pretty good too.
Yep, Karazim is also fantastic against Hanzo, because Hanzo is very mobile, Karazim can follow him and punch him repeatedly in the face, and that is something Hanzo doesn't like.
And if we were to see another one of those redemption builds, which focus very much on basic attacking, then you can drop an Earth ally and mitigate some of that damage as well. And maybe you can also just prevent the physical attack damage from another Zul'jin. I'm not sure, though, if A-team is ever going to go for that again. In this series, at least. Sorry.
We will have to see. Right now, I mean, Deckard just works so well with it. I don't know how well Whitemane works with it because we've never seen it, obviously. So we would have to wait and see for that. But yeah, I agree with you. I doubt we will be seeing that. For now, Muradin, another axe technically, but he does get banned out. There's a lot of axes in Heroes.
There are. Yeah, there are quite a lot of them, actually, if you think about it. We have Garrosh as well. Pretty good.
We have Muradin. We have, I guess a cleaver is technically an axe.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah, so we have two heroes there, Butcher and Stitches. Whole lot of axes. Cool. So then, also Rexar.
Yeah, Variant's got one too in the Logar skin.
That's true. There's a Tyrael and a Yorel coming in here. Very sustain-y comp coming in to potentially protect some kind of melee, Kendrick.
Yeah. Looks like they need a little bit more frontlining here, the A-team that is, unless they go for some weird ranged solo laning here, which is a possibility, you know, but I personally prefer having a second melee next to Diablo. Ideally one that has some sort of follow-up crowd control to really...
There's a second melee.
That's the second melee, not one with crowd control, mind you. Illidan adds a whole different spice to the mix.
I'm kind of confused why they chose Phoenix over Cassia. If you wanted a second ranged, why would you not pick the one that disables Illidan the best? Because this was predictable.
Yeah.
As a last pick from CE. You could have avoided that pretty effectively.
I guess they are trying to create some space for potential Lightning Breath salvo play and forcing the enemies back for Illidan to catch up on it then, though. But you raise a perfectly valid point there. If they had gone for the Cassia, which would have made sense against Raynor, against Karazim, right? You blind those guys, and their combat efficiency will be decreased significantly. But yeah, maybe the Phoenix they rely on more. Maybe it's a question of confidence and comfort. But I think the Cassia is a good pick to counter the Illidan. However, we're not just talking about Illidan, we're talking about Bruiser. In my personal opinion, the hottest melee player in the league right now. Let's see what they can make work with it.
Illidan sneaking its way in, but Cassia is on the board. How well will it work? There is sanctification available. There is the potential for the armor from Yrel. There's a lot of self-sustain on this team. How well will it work? And will the Illidan potentially just be enough of a distraction for Hanzo to start cleaning up? We will be finding out very shortly as we are preparing for game number 2.
Yeah, keep in mind, of course, that Illidan is not to be underestimated either when it comes to the immortal damage, right? If he's left unattended, then his fast attack speed and his mana independency is going to be pretty useful, pretty valuable here. But can the A-team do it twice in a row, or is CE finally going to wake up and show us how the game is played? CE here on the left-hand side on BOE with Lufel, XDQ, 365, KTY, and Juyu.
And on the right, it is the A-team with LK, Olele, Bruiser, Stugos, and Yitzcook.
All right, we doubted the Zul'jin Alrek last game. We even made fun of it, and I bow down in shame because I was proven so wrong. Now,
look, it was an accident. You are forgiven.
Okay, now we really need to stop. Otherwise, we're going to get ourselves in trouble here.
Yeah, we're going to... No, I don't have another one to follow up that. Yeah, remember, kids, don't follow in our tracks. Kendrick is... I'm pretty sure Kendrick
I'm checking my phone right now to see whether I'm getting a call from Blizzard here to basically tell us that this was our last day of casting China. I think we're good.
But if I can't cast China, how will I pay my taxes? Either way, they're pushed in very aggressively from CE, very close to the wall. Zhu barely making it out of the range of Diablo to stop himself being flipped over the wall here. And the double top lane, KTY, is despairing.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much you can do as an Yrel. I mean, she's a great solo laner. She has all you want to ask for. And she's keeping them at bay for now, losing a tower. And the flip side, though, if you look at the bottom lane, we don't really see any progress on the structures yet. Too good is the wave clear of Hanzo. Too good is the threat potential of Yitzcook. Because if any one of those heroes, even if it's a Tyrael, gets too close to those towers, the Diablo could fling him over the wall. They're trying to do exactly that. The tower goes down eventually to that onslaught. But still, a little bit of time was bought. How far is the... Oh my goodness, they're actually tearing the space apart.
They are. They've managed to take down the entire front wall. Fountain already starting to take a little bit of damage, but they do have to wait for a new minion wave. And as such, a quick move in by CE, making the most of their man advantage, getting a Merc camp. Illidan is doing the same up in top lane, as Alufal just bullies. Bet he wish he took Thunderstrokes. He would get a lot of stacks from that, but he's gone for the charge strikes. Oh my god, Olele getting wrecked.
Yeah, I think everybody needs to go back here. Maybe Yitzcook can stay a little longer there. He's the healthiest of all those members. Yeah, he needs to refill the mana here. So many resources being used by Whiteman. And now I think CE has finally evened out this score. They have taken a mercenary camp, so double impalers. One in the top, one in the bottom.
We can actually see already Cassia on her way up to top lane to help clear that out. In fact, everyone is on their way up there to clean out that Merc camp, save the fort, and also start the Shaman camp.
Right. Shaman's taken for both teams. The fountain was destroyed in the bottom while the top one is still standing, so a minor advantage in terms of structural progress for CE, but you know, all that could come into play at some point. Never underestimate the importance of healing fountains, especially when you have to fight for an objective. Tyrael with an aggressive play. Juyu is out of position in no man's land. If he falls, that is a pretty crucial blow against CE.
They are tanking through it, though. CE also being dropped a little bit low, but XDQ with great kiting. Bruiser now in trouble. Evasion already being used, but the healing coming in from the white main. And Bruiser, sniped. Good defend there coming in from the Cassia, but it's a 1-for-1. And with KTY dropping low, never mind. KTY still dropping low and being chased down. I forgot the Hanzo could do that. I don't know how.
Oh, the vision? Oh, Diablo may have been able to charge over the wall, maybe, if that interrupt hadn't happened. Yeah, that was super close. But as it is, as you said, that delay actually prevented KTY from teleporting back. Only now... Oh, he didn't even teleport back altogether. He took the healing fountain. Importance of healing fountains, ladies and gentlemen.
So you see KTY, quick knockback. He's
mana.
Holding the lane for the moment. They do need mana. They need health as well. A couple of them, at least. They were wounded. All the mercenary camps have been cleared up, though, so don't worry about those. Cassie's going very aggressive.
Yeah, that's a big interrupt, though, because it buys more time until Hanzo will come back with more blue juice in his pockets. Now, let's see. A little bit of damage still done. Oh, Yitzcook, he drops himself into that stun of that Immortal. He survives for now. The healing has arrived. Stugos is back, and all of a sudden, it's a Lufel on the retreat.
Luful tanks through it, able to pull back as we do see KTY. A little bit of a bop onto Yeetskook. They're still low. A lot of them haven't had the time to port back.
Yeah.
And there's no out of fight healing, so it's a Q build white.
Who's going to make it? Who's going to make it? I think Superior Immortal damage on the side of 18, but they were behind quite significantly, and it is CE who makes it. Wow.
I don't think Hanzo's fully stacked yet, so I actually do think the Superior Immortal damage is way in favor of CE because they have a Reino of Exterminator and a Kerosene. Yeah,
it was also not the best angle. Obviously, Hanzo still sitting very low in mana too, so it was not the ideal environment for him to thrive. But still, you know, that Immortal pretty low for CE. That should be an easy clear for the A-team, unless they get caught here, because CE is pretty much committing to this. Only Irel in the bottom.
They begin moving in. Every member of CE except for Urel is, of course, here. Illidan is solo laning against it because Phoenix has a better time poking down the Immortal from range. Using the Phase Bomb to get the extra range as he doesn't want to get himself caught out. Interesting position on his flank there. A Fort will die, and CE could have maybe tried a hard engage there, but 4v4, not worth the risk, even with the talent advantage.
Yeah, I was going to say, the level 7 advantage is pretty significant, but still, it's not as impactful as a level 10 advantage would have been, for example. Now level 7 is here for the A-team as well. Are they going to fight over this? Have they had enough here? Are they trying to make a play for themselves? 3 against 4, 3 against 5 right now. Hanzo on the run, escapes to safety. Diablo not so much.
Yeah, Diablo had to take a lot of damage while trying to get to Hanzo, who was already safe, so as such, he got taken out. Here comes the dive in, but a good teleport by LK, so it's going to be all about Olele, and Hanzo dies anyway.
And guess who does work in that game? It is the aforementioned Cassia, as you said, Tetcher. She is having a wonderful time here, dodging all those Illidan auto attacks, dealing so much bonus damage as well. The blinds here coming into play. I think she's having a really good time. Luful really bringing the pain. And Phoenix, although he's looked good in the past, I'm not sure if he was the right decision this time around. I think a mage, for example, would have probably been a little more diverse in terms of, you know, just diversifying their damage output, if you will.
They hold the line. A little bit of damage from Olele there, but not enough to dissuade CE in any way, shape, or form. With Pursuit of Justice now online, they can get some even more effective damage coming in for from Tyrael as they just dive Yeetskook pre-blind, just fend him anyway as the auto attacks come in with the charge strikes, and Yeetskook is gone.
The healing was good by Diablo, but unfortunately that fort was not firing onto the members of CE here. It was still distracted by minions and mercenaries alike. And just like that, the A-team's defenses are falling apart. Level 10 is now here. Karzim actually got that clean double kill against Diablo and Illidan. And that's all she wrote. Now even more dangerous tools are available. 7-sided to melt Diablo yet again. Sanctification to make sure that no one can stop their onslaught. And Ball Lightning for additional ability damage against Illidan, which is ever so useful.
KTY burns through what is left of the Shaman camp, which pushes into top lane. Phoenix is already up there. He's already pushed a minion wave in a little bit, so the Shaman won't actually get too much value. As it actually, yes, it will. It's going to split the minion wave, so yeah, that's actually going to be great.
That it is. It splits the minion wave in half, which forces some attention of the A-team. And Tetra, if that is going to be a 100% health, 100% shield Immortal, I'm starting to get really worried for the A-team because they lost both of their forts already, which means essentially there's only a key separating themselves now from the core and the Immortal. However, it's still early in the game, so the scaling is not as drastic. But all it takes is one kill here, I believe, to start the snowball and maybe even the core attempt.
We apparently have some people who weren't taught British English in the chat, as it is pronounced shaman in British English and shaman in American English.
Oh, not so that again, Twitch chat. You can't trigger attention like that.
Going. No! They're still going. As you see the push coming in with the Punisher, and not the Punisher, sorry, the Immortal, and their shaman. Illidan has cleared up the other one in the top lane, so he will need to rotate down the sister's team, or he might try and stay up here and rotate and try and soak level 10. That looks to be his goal.
Alright, one tower has fallen. The Immortal is in a good position there. It's widely ignored by the members of the A-team because their range is good, but their single target damage not so much here in this case. Yeetskook takes so much damage from the Ball Lightning there. Falls first. No more front line. That is terrible news. I don't think Illidan was even there to begin with.
He wasn't. He was still soaking top lane, trying to get them to 10. Now his team have almost 10, but one less member, which is Diablo. But only 9 seconds till he returns. This might still work out as Bruiser cleans out in the the minions behind the Immortal to try and get them level 10 while also putting pressure on the XTQ. Salvo comes out as level 10 is hit. No souls applied, and the Sanctification says absolutely not. Good Apocalypse on the other side of it, as we do see the core die, quite frankly. That was a valiant effort by the A-team in the end with a fantastic Earthquake. I keep saying Earthquake. Apocalypse to follow up Sanctification, but it was far too late. Immortal was still high health, but Raider was just wrecking the core. GG, 1-1 between CE and the A-team.
CE angry after that humiliating defeat in game 1. They come back in under 10 minutes, almost there. And that was good stuff. That was the CE that we know. And they made that look pretty easy, to be honest, but I think it was also the draft, as you said in particular, Tetra, right? That Cassia, it would have made sense if A-team had picked it themselves. It probably would have gotten more work done than Phoenix, and it would have robbed CE of the potential to counter the Illidan, to counter the Phoenix as well.
I mean, you were right. The Lightning Breath salvo could have been scary, but
they didn't even get there.
At that point, Blind and Charge Strikes is also pretty scary. They got dominated in the early game.
Yeah, and they didn't even pick it, right? In the case of an emergency there, they had to pick Apocalypse to maybe stall and prevent the core slaughtering, but it was too little too late there, and CE played that pretty smart.
That they did. And with that, CE, again, getting denied, achieve a single point. They're up to 18 now. Whereas the A-team, they have 11, catching up to RPG very slowly.
Another hero that I could have seen as a last pick for the A-team would have been Li Ming. She would have been much more efficient against Cassia, in my opinion. She would have had great core damage as well. You know, Li Ming is a notorious BOE hero that we see many, many times. So yeah, in hindsight, of course, you could always theorycraft like which hero would have made sense more here and there. But in the end, I also think the Illidan was too ambitious. You can't just always get away with it, especially not on BOE. I feel like there's no, side lane pressure that you can do with a hunt. You have to team fight. You have to commit all the time. And as such, your playstyle as an Illidan is way more predictable. Really cool interaction here, by the way, Tetra. I'm not sure if you caught it. I'm not sure if you saw it out there as well, guys. There was a Sanctification, and Illidan dropped his Metamorphosis right on top of the Sanctification, but because it didn't deal any damage, I don't think the bonus health was triggered. So he came back with very little HP.
Super squishy, because it does actually have to hit the target, I believe.
Right?
So I think you are correct.